Well, hello and welcome to Friday, April 23rd, 2021. This is Cord Cutting Weekly, where we wrap up the past week in cord cutting and streaming news. And it's been a pretty active week, if I do say so myself. We've got some long-awaited new streaming hardware from Apple to talk about, Hulu's adding some football content, Sony Pictures and Disney have signed a major deal, and Roku's got a new name for its growing library of original content. But first, yes, of course, if you haven't done so already, please do consider clicking those like and subscribe buttons down below. They both help our channel out tremendously, and we'd greatly appreciate it. And so with that regular plea out of the way, let's head on to the news, starting with Apple. This week, Apple finally announced the next model in its long-running streaming device lineup. It's still called the Apple TV 4K, but this latest version adds a newer, more powerful A12 processor and a faster HDMI 2.1 port. There's also a new Siri remote that the company says is more comfortable and pleasant to use, although we'll definitely have to get our own hands on that input device to test those claims. The new second-generation Apple TV 4K starts at $179 for the 32GB model, and $199 if you up it to 64GB. Meanwhile, the new Siri remote itself is available as a standalone purchase for $59. And if you're looking for a lower-priced non-4K option and you don't mind a streaming device that first launched back in 2015, the Apple TV HD will also be bundled with the new Siri remote for $149. Pre-orders are expected to start on April 30th, and Apple expects devices to ship in the second half of May. And if you missed our earlier first look video at Apple's new gear, you can find a link down below in the video description, as well as a link to our post over at cordcuttersnews.com. And be sure to let us know what you think of Apple's latest streaming gear in the comment section down below. Apple also used its online event this week to announce a second season for its critically acclaimed show, Ted Lasso. The series, starring Jason Sudeikis, began production on Season 2 back in January, and Apple expects new episodes to land on its streaming service, Apple TV Plus, starting on July 23rd. For those unfamiliar, Ted Lasso focuses on an American football coach hired to lead a soccer club in London despite having zero experience. Episodes are scheduled to roll out weekly rather than in one instantly bingeable package. And you can see footage from the Season 2 trailer on your screen right now, and if you'd like to check out the full video and see what all the fuss is about, you'll find a link to our post included down below in the video description. And in Roku news, this week we learned a little bit more about the company's plans for all that Quibi content that was acquired back in January. The company says that programming will be branded as Roku Originals when they launch on the Roku channel. In all, Roku nabbed more than 75 shows, documentaries, and other content, including several titles that never actually made it onto Quibi before that service's demise in late 2020. And that Roku Originals branding will also apply to future original programming beyond the Quibi content. And that all just underscores that Roku is putting more and more resources into building up original and exclusive titles for its own service. And we expect to learn more about the launch of Roku Originals next month. Until then, let us know what you think of the new name in the comment section down below. In other news, Sony Pictures and Disney announced a new deal this week that could finally open the door to Spider-Man joining other Marvel superheroes on Disney+. The new deal includes streaming and TV rights to Sony Pictures' new releases and some of the studio's past titles, including the Spider-Man, Jumanji, and Hotel Transylvania franchises. As for new releases, that covers titles from 2022 to 2026, and that means those titles will be available on Disney's platforms after their initial Netflix runs. And you might recall Sony Pictures and Netflix also reached a deal for new releases earlier this year, so it looks like the studio is eager to get its content on a variety of streaming platforms. And we look forward to learning more about the deal in the future, including specific titles and availability details. For now, stay tuned. In Hulu news, the streaming service announced this week that it will bring NFL Network and NFL RedZone to its live TV streaming lineup by August 1st, 2021, or right around the start of football, which is probably not a coincidence. The deal means live TV subscribers will soon get access to year-round NFL programming, including shows like Good Morning Football and NFL Total Access, along with Sunday commentary over on RedZone. And of course, we'll keep an eye on the deal and let you know when both channels actually arrive on the service. For now, though, it looks like football fans on Hulu might have more content to look forward to pretty soon. And in other streaming news, earlier this week we saw what looked like an early leak from Sony that suggested a new video streaming service would soon be coming to the company's PlayStation Plus subscription plan. And then just a day later, that leak was confirmed. Sony Interactive Entertainment is indeed testing a new free streaming option for subscribers. It's conducting a one-year trial starting in Poland, and it includes 15 movies and half a dozen TV shows that are owned by Sony Pictures. The plan is to add more titles periodically as the one-year trial continues. The popular theory is that Sony's experimenting with ways to create added value to its PlayStation Plus subscription service as it looks to compete with Microsoft's Game Pass, which includes access to a wide variety of downloadable games. And given the library Sony Pictures has access to, a video streaming option seems a logical way to go, especially since the company announced earlier this year that it would stop offering video sales and rentals through the PlayStation Store later this year. And Sony could have access to a large array of anime content through Funimation and Crunchyroll, so that all could add up to an impressive video library. Of course, we'll keep an eye on the ongoing test, and we'll let you know if Sony opts to expand it out to more regions over time. For now, though, what do you think of the possibility of free access to a growing library of Sony Pictures titles as part of your PS Plus plan? Feel free to let us know in the comment section down below. This week, Netflix announced its first quarter 2021 results, and the streaming giant ended Q1 with around 208 million paid memberships. That marks a 14% increase year over year, and while 208 million is not a tiny number by any means, it does fall short of the company's projections of 210 million paid subscribers. And the company pointed to increased subscriber numbers at the start of the pandemic that were soon followed by a thinner selection of content to start 2021. And that lighter schedule was attributed to COVID-19 related production delays, but Netflix says the second half of 2021 should see a busier schedule thanks to returning favorites like The Witcher and Season 3 of the show You. And the company expects to spend over $17 billion on content here in 2021, so we'll see how the service's content slate shapes up as the year progresses. And just another quick Netflix update here. This week, co-CEO Reed Hastings shared a little more info on the company's efforts to crack down on password sharing. Hastings said Netflix is testing several options, but added it wouldn't be anything extreme. Hastings stated, quote, "We'll test many things, but we would never roll out something that feels like turning the screws on people who enjoy the service. It's got to feel like it makes sense to consumers, that they understand." Of course, we'll continue to monitor Netflix's efforts here, and if you happen to spot any ongoing tests, feel free to let us know. And that about wraps up a rather busy week in cord cutting and streaming news. And as we say every week, thank you all for tuning in. If you haven't gotten around to it just yet, we'd certainly appreciate it if you clicked on those like and or subscribe buttons down below. That would really help us out and further enable us to grow the channel and produce more content in the future. On Wednesdays, Jess hosts our live Q&A sessions, and then we follow that up with our topical deep dives every Thursday, including this week's first look at the Apple TV 4K and Siri remote. And then there's Cord Cutting Weekly on Fridays, where you can catch all the biggest streaming headlines. And having said all that, just a quick heads up that I will actually be out next Friday, so we won't actually air Cord Cutting Weekly on April 30th. However, be on the lookout for our YouTube community page. We'll be sharing the top stories from the week on there, so you can stay up to date on all things cord cutting and streaming. For now, though, thanks again for watching. My name is Philip Palermo, and I hope you all have a safe and wonderful weekend. I'll see you soon. Take care.